Over the last 2 days, 16 teams from around the world engaged in an action-packed contest to assert their dominance over the competition. Now, within the opulent walls of the historic Wang Theater, the final battle is about to commence. No lifelines remain, and only the strong will survive. Welcome to the Boston Major Playoff.
Hype levels continuing to rise, and after a 2-day hiatus, we have migrated to the Wang Theater. Margin for error has been almost completely removed as it is now single elimination, and the 16 teams that do still remain are on the ropes. I'm your host, Alex Machine Richardson. This is going to be hype. This theater is beautiful, and so are my panel. Hello, beautiful people. Joined by Fogged, first of all, dressed up, looking smart. You feeling good about today?
Feeling very good. I'm really excited to be here for the first game too, because I've been following VP for quite a while, pretty much since the beginning when they've reformed. Really excited to see how they're going to do. Obviously, pretty much like the leaders coming into this, so we'll see how it goes for them. And
I mean, Shiva, this venue, I was just walking around like touching all of the pretty statues lining the walls.
It's so amazing. It's really reminiscent of Benaroya Hall as well, but this is just a different level of push. And then behind the scenes, everybody is full of energy, and there's like this anticipation for the first series of the day as well.
Wasn't that one of your favorite venues, Ted? You were telling me all about that theater.
Benaroya, yeah, it was very special, very pretty, and it wasn't huge. So it kind of felt like it was kind of had a soul, you know?
Intimate.
But this is beautiful. It is the Wong Theater, of course, pronounced Wong, according to Ben Wu.
So we have to trust Ben Wu.
He said it's.
I guess I've been saying it Wong this whole time.
I tried to make that joke. He said it would not be cool. So congratulations.
Okay, fine. All right. Anyway, there are 16 teams, as I did highlight, and it would be rude not to introduce them. So we can bring up the attending teams. 8 invites and 8 going through their regional qualifiers. And it has been a bit of a turbulent journey for everyone involved. These invited teams have encountered some bumps along the road, and some of these qualifying teams have just walked through the competition. Of course, Virtus.Pro impressing us on the first day of broadcast. And I mean, when you see those names fogged, which one stands out as perhaps a little bit of a surprise in the invited list?
I mean, well, we do have like some switch-ups, of course, because Execration was supposed to be over LGD. I think, personally, I thought LGD was going to be there instead, but I think the one that probably stands out to everybody is MVP, because I thought they were like the ones that had a lot, like didn't really show too much leading up to this, and then they were invited. Now they have a lot to prove, and they've been struggling quite heavily.
They have got a chance to prove it, though, given the tournament structure. This group stage was all about seeding, Shiva. I'd rather you explain exactly how this structure has worked, because people, they were judgmental, but it has caused some turbulent results.
So I think before the tournament started, people saying, oh, group stages, they don't mean anything. Nobody is getting eliminated in the group stages, so why have them? But I think the groups that we've had over this weekend have proven that they are absolutely important in terms of seeding. We have some matchups. Today, even the second match of the day, EG versus Wings, that a lot of people were expecting to see in the finals, and that is because both of those teams did not perform the way they, quote-unquote, were supposed to or were expected to. And we went into a double elimination bracket, like mini double elimination bracket per group, into a single elimination bracket.
And there's no doubt, Ted, that there are going to be some sweaty palms on stage when one best of 3 determines your fate.
I know some people don't like single elim, and I'm sure from a team's perspective it sucks, but I love it. And when it goes to a game between a single elim and that's it, one of you's going home, that's it. I mean, that's the most exciting kind of Dota you can get. So you feel like, later in a tournament when that happens all the time, now you've got it from day one. So it is brutal, but it is fun.
And that's perfect. Sorry,
EG Wings go home today.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
that is
done
insane.
Today.
Like, that is insane.
Who could have predicted that?
And that's literally our first day in the theater, and we're having, TI winners battling it out to survive. That's just beautiful, beautiful stuff, beautiful Dota. We can have a quick reminder of how the first 2 days did look. These group stages that we've been talking about, we can bring up the brackets and demonstrate exactly where those surprises did lie. In Group A was one of the first surprises, as it was none other than the Sea People, WG, delivering in a full best of 3. I mean, this was the first of many surprises, Ted. Alongside that, though, DC have had a bit of a walk in the park.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you've still got to turn up, and they did do that. I think if we're talking about walks in the park, you would have thought that Wings would beat Warriors, but of course they didn't. I think Warriors really delivered. Apparently, you know, some people were expecting them to do pretty well. I didn't think they'd beat Wings, but they did. Wings tend not to do great in the group stages anyway. Haven't been like stellar since TI, but we'll see. I think they'll come good.
And if we look in towards Group B as well, Fogged, this was where we did see some similar surprises. Of course, one name in particular did stand out in terms of over-delivering.
Yeah, I kind of thought this would happen, though. We all looked like VP, Newbie. These were like the two big powerhouses coming into it. So I kind of just expected them to run away with the groups, and they pretty much did. 4 games total on both teams. So they just consistently crushed everybody that they were playing against.
Were there higher expectations for Team Anime here, the Team NP, Shiva?
I'm not sure if you could expect them to do better against the teams they were up against. Both Newbie and Virtus.Pro are both really strong, and I think NP, it says 2-0, but the matches against Newbie were a bit more even than that score portrays. So they did put up a fight, and I do think they have a good shot here.
Only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. Group C, let's have a little look at this bad boy. We have, of course, that's where the domestic destruction happened. EG Complexity, and there's just giggles on the desk. I'll let anyone jump in.
Oh man, this was a great series. Like, it was so exciting, and I think obviously with the background that they've got, we knew that this was going to mean a lot to Complexity to do it, and they did it. I thought it was in style at points as well.
Definitely the most hype games of the group stages. Just like with the storyline as well. Like, you know, the battle between EG Cole. Like, you just see Swindle's face, and you're just like, okay, yeah, this is definitely the most hype.
And then on the other side, there's of course LGD making it through first place, and they just look so strong. They came in as an invited team after Execration, of course, couldn't make it, but they look like they have deserved that spot, like, altogether. They are looking very strong.
I mean, I didn't really hear too much about it. Like, talking just a small specific is like Victoria. This guy stood out so much for me in the group stages. He was just like impeccable performance. That's the guy to watch for me, especially for LGD.
Yeah, we'll get to see if they're going to be victorious in their first game, of course, against LGFY. We can have a little look at Group D to see how their compadres did do. It's, of course, OG and IG. Whoa, okay, catch myself, bite that tongue. It was OG who did get to go and take that first place. And if you look into the lowers, we saw eHome finding a lot of hard work. A full 3-game series versus both of their opponents. In fact, all 3 of their opponents. Real had to sweat to get that second seed.
Yeah, at Finham, of course, taking a series off of eHome. But then later on couldn't close it out in the series they had again. I think at Finham in their qualifiers looked really strong, and after that they haven't shown as high a performance as then. But I think they are the team to definitely grow in this tournament, and hopefully a single elimination bracket actually favors them a bit.
Yeah, maybe. There are only 3 teams went undefeated according to my very quick use of this nice little Bing. We found a use for Bing, guys. We've actually doing things here. VP, LGD, DC, the only 3 teams to go undefeated in the group stages. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I blame Bing.
Oh, I think you're right.
But that's, you know,
that's scary. Those
guys have to be amongst the favorites. I think anyone else now, from the only sad thing is out of Complexity game, one of Complexity or Warriors is going home. I think that's a shame.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen both of them given a tilt, but they didn't get there.
Yeah, the 2 teams that caused the most turbulence in the group stage, only one gets to continue and get that both the pay bump and the prestige as well. We are going to take a quick look at the group stages and how indeed they did go down, recap them, and when we come back, we're going to be getting some teams on the stage.
Previously on the Boston Major.
It was sitting on the Rubik. There was no one that got the kill, but now they get a multicast over an Eternal Envy. This could be him down. No buyback, a double kill for the SF, and a double Burrow Strike from Pasha. Right on the money. Triple kill for no one. He'll look to make it something a little bit more. Will it be the Rampage? It's an ultra kill at the moment. Savage is the last one left alive. Push him in, and there it is. but they send up Savage. Pasha's still waiting. Ramsey doesn't know if he wants to come back. The Spirit's making a re-entry back into Savage. Just to give him the movement speed to get away, and Solo gets cold burned again. MSS in close, but Solo. MP are completely caught. Pasha will come in. That epicenter, it still wasn't even used, but no one does so much damage. The butterfly, AUI can't even hit him right now. No one is untouchable. Too many rampages, and MP will lose their first game to Virtus.Pro 2-0 in an insanely convincing fashion. Envy's preparing himself almost like the roaming for position, looks for the arrow, off target. Hero didn't see her coming, but the Starfall will connect. Envy still taking a lot of damage from the tower, but the damage into the creep wave is not enough to kill QO. QO gets the crit, but he's almost down. He drops so low and survives. And now Velo, he jumps in, he wants to kill. Rose goes for the Death Warp, but the Purification again does its work. Combining it with the Dark Pack, it's just so much AoE damage, and the Rock is still up, plus the GA. MP, they just can't fight. MP, they have to win this fight hard now to make this worth it with a Crush from Savage. He hit the Invis Slark, the Eclipse will pop off, there's no creep wave for it. 4 heroes down for MVP, QO's on the run. This is the bottom racks.
They're going to get two.
GG. They actually go out. MP will actually take MVP out here in the GSL bracket and give a chance to fight again in the 3rd place matchup. MP survived.
It's a full minute downtime still. As MP ready to push in, and we'll see how much they can get done. Kaka already trying to harass back Aoi, but immediately with the match start backs off. There's the lasso back off as he jumps in MSS with the 3-man, and the follow-up there, Crush from SVG. Aoi comes in with the Eclipse. They've taken down 2. Aoi survives here with the Glimmer Cave. He's going to TP out. His support's keeping Aoi alive. He'll get himself back to safety. Envy walking this off like a walk in the park. They've actually managed to find the kill onto SVG and now moving in for more. Envy lassoed up, dragged back. The bat falling low. KP will finally go down, but Newbie are trying to find the favorable train. Indeed, they get it with 3 heroes falling. Newbie will take this last series of the day here at Group B 2-0. And, I mean, overall, you know, it's been an up and down adventure for both teams. Are you excited to see more of both of these? And more specifically, obviously, our winners here. Into the pit here, Faceless, trying to finish this one off. They've got to be careful. Jijing has got the blink and the crush. Jumps, he gets the 2-man crush off. Immediately responds though. Ice with the lasso, but it's taken off. Victoria with a false promise onto XE. Jijing trying to get himself out, but the damage from the drought looks to be nearly too much. He's kept alive. That the Fate's Edict stopping the damage. He survives, and his Faceless losing 3 as maybe is turning up and absolutely pounding them to pieces. Immediately jumps in, looking for the duel onto the OD. There comes the Golem as well on the backline of it all with the Eclipse. OD is able to force himself away and survive. I'll turn attention towards Ice. We'll have a nice blast back. And Black even wants to try and go back in on this one. Closes on us and maybe revving up the old Black, taking a huge amount of damage, and he's dead. The Requiem and the raise to the face, bringing down Black, punishing his over-aggression there and his hunger to get stuck back in. This team coming in at last minute to be a bit of a titan, and already in this first series we're seeing exactly why people had high hopes.
Yeah,
Yeah, they seem to have no real wave clear. In fact, they're going to be able to get the initiation on him. Moo just almost gets popped. Yule Scepter goes down, but he's going to come back down just to a simple right click of maybe, and he'll still end up dying. Hunter, you need to be able to build up those track kills, and it just didn't happen. They lost the lanes too hard, too early. He managed to get the imprisonment. They're trying to set up both to defend the Luna and to attack. Complexity try and go for the Luna, but meanwhile Moo's already found G-Sing. They managed to push back the initiator, which means Complexity can go ahead and focus on Ame, but Ame may be too big. They managed to take out the OD and away from that Aegis, and Moo, he's going to be tossed into cancel. Oh no, this is disastrous. The Macro Pyre burning away Complexity. Game number 2 easily cleaned up by LGD in the end.
It's one of those games where you talk about drafts and like you talk about ease of execution.
Crystal is already coming out, so well underway to that. And meanwhile, Epicenter in the mid lane as Arteezy engages. They drop the rock, but already too late. Now the relocate arrives. EG, all of a sudden, you thought they wanted to farm. Well, you were wrong, sir. 4 down. Golem about to drop as well. The lone survivor.
Many heroes here, though.
It's going to see Ice. XY's there. They're playing Whack-A-Mole in the jungle, but Universe could be the trump card. Blinks in with the stun onto XY. But meanwhile, using the Glimmer Cape, he's able to dodge the incoming damage. BKB committed, but not getting too many auto techs up. When he sees XY, he gets the bash, he gets the kill. And with that, on to Black, they'll find him as well. It's 2. The fight's snowballing out of control. They might need to buy back here. They've dropped the rock. They're committing for this, but Arteezy just not being dealt with, continues to maul Ice out of mana. And now the OD Hammer coming down, blinking up and away. Again, the 2-hero burrow. Where's the buyback for Black? He's not opting to use it. The team's getting massacred. 4 fall, and they commit the rock. It's basically all 5 heroes dead, with Warlock just a walking Fatal Bonds at this point. Finally, Tinker buys back. Faceless have been eliminated. Not from the tournament, but from contention for that top 2 spot.
Yeah, so that guarantees that EG does not get 4th seed. That's going to be left to Faceless. A little surprising.
Let's have a look at this again. So there's the E-Blade. Quick dodge by Arteezy.
Yeah.
Waits for the style points at the last moment. Locked inside the trees. Of course, it is his natural habitat with the creep wave pushing Arteezy and Samael in. Now they blink in with the Starfall. It's going to be another triple kill for Cancel. As much damage into Samael, you've lost your Batrider, you accept this, but with the lightning shields, finally the Juggler's brought down a Universe! A huge epicenter! Complexity, the Burst Strike is Freak! He actually stops the SK in his tracks! Now Crit is trapped with the freaking Faithful from the side! Side tries to escape, Ice Ball stolen! Come on! This is the Frog of Freak! The full 3 games, EG and Complexity, everything else in this group stage was 2-0, but these 2 teams fought hammer and tongs.
It's been quite the journey so far, a beautiful way to look back on the first 2 days, and there's still so much ahead of us. The story has barely begun, and now things do get a little more intense. Single elimination, I will keep saying that because it's so damn crazy. $3 million on the line, and you have to win that series if you want to continue. We have to highlight the brackets now. That's where we're going to take this next, and just to show you what those games are, what those head-to-heads are, and I mean, breathe it all in, folks, because it is perhaps a little intimidating. We'll work our way down from the top left and the left side, which arguably has been said by many, due to the shortcomings in the group stage, Shiva, to be a little stacked.
A little bit, well, left-heavy, if you will, with Evil Genius and the Wings, of course, the highlight there. Virtus.Pro and OG in the same leg of the bracket as well. People weren't expecting that. 2 other contenders that people see going very far and have a chance to already meet at the semifinals. But it is looking amazing. And as Ted already pointed out, Complexity and Warriors Gaming, two teams that have caused upsets in their group. One of the storylines gonna end.
I think the interesting thing there was OG actually have a pretty good run to the semi-final. Like, it's actually, there are a couple of teams like DC and are in a similar kind of situation where it's like, they could just make the semi. Like, you know, they should, really. But like you said, we've seen upsets. OG to beat MVP is the most fancied game according to the internet.
It is?
79% OG. VP is 78%.
Oh, wow, giving them more than VP. Of course, we didn't highlight LGD versus LGD going down Fog to get that domestic rivalry.
I mean, LGD's going to win no matter what happens. So
good call.
Wow.
Had to steal it.
I can call that one. I can call that one.
Yeah, I think everyone could get that one right. LGD to win that game. We can highlight which order these are coming at you because it is coming over the course of 2 days. Today, you get to see some of the big ones on the left-hand side of the bracket. VP versus IG will be our first game. Following that, it is going to be described by many as the big one. EG, Wings Gaming, one of them will be going home today. Complexity and Warriors Gaming as well, two teams that did rock the boat of the group stage, and now only one will continue into the next half of the bracket, and OG MVP, which, as Ted has so rightly mentioned, most people are giving OG the edge here.
Yeah.
Having faith. I mean, other than EG Wings, because it's all, we know we're all anticipating that one, which other one, Ted, catches your eye most in this one? Do you think the VPIG could be a head turn, or are you looking further down?
No. I think the VP game will be a win. Sorry.
I think it's a really interesting matchup because on one hand you have VP who did really well, right? They didn't lose, and they don't have a coach, which I think I want to talk on that
We'll
more.
come back, yeah.
Because in these 2 days, what do they talk about? Hey guys, we rocked. You know,
that's
we did
probably
great.
exactly what they
But
talk.
you know, you should be trying to see like what are other teams going to do different. Like you know, you have a motivator. IG Vitality, they have not been together in this composition for so long because obviously they missed 2 players and they have Burning and Q. This is the team that's going to have the potential to grow more than Virtus.Pro. And it's, you know, did they grow enough in the last 2 days is the question.
Well, I mean, they had 2 days to prepare for their opponents, and we had 2 days to set the stage. The Wang Theatre is looking radiant, and we're going to go ahead and get that stage open for both the audience and you guys at home.
The time has come again for heroes to assemble, to sound the call of battle. To summon the spirit of champions. And seize the chance for glory.
They fight all the way through the lower bracket and will be putting the champions on the first ever Dota 2 major.
Congratulations, Team Secret take Game 4 in one of the most dominant fashions we've seen in the Grand Final.
OG
are the Manila Major Champions. Second time, the first ever team to repeat.
The clash for the Eagle Song begins. At the Boston Major.
If that didn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. The 4th Dota Major, $3 million and some world-class Dota about to go down in this Boston theater. It's Wang or Wong, Ted, I don't know which way to take it, but our first game is VP versus IG, and that's where we're going to be turning our attention to now. And I think we start by highlighting why Virtus.Pro have been a head-turner. Both coming into this event, everyone said that this is one of the qualified teams who are going to do damage. And Fogged, I'm looking at you here. Can you explain to the viewers at home why Virtus.Pro are a team to watch?
Well, probably for the past, I'd say about 2 months when they reformed, I was covering pretty much all their games, and I'm watching them, I'm like, all right, I'm trying to see like what discrepancies are going on, who's like who and what are their weak links, and I was struggling to really find it. It's like at some points they seemed like maybe they were doing some over-aggressiveness. People used to call them, Virtus.Pro at some times because they had some incredible leads and threw it away. But this team now, they recognize it. Like maybe they do one mistake in these games and then they're like, this can't happen again. You see they just like start to go much more reserved. But all the players are carrying their weight in an intense manner. Usually you look at a team and they're like, okay, maybe this guy could be performing a little bit better in some of these games. Maybe their game plan could go a bit better. VP is not one of those teams. They have their game plan set. As soon as the draft finishes, you look and you're like, yeah, I understand what they're kind of going for, And then you look at Ramses, you're like, okay, this guy is super consistent. No one, arguably one of the better mids in the world too. All of them just doing their job at an excelling level.
I can't wait to delve deeper into this one, but the teams are chomping at the bit to get on stage, so we're not going to stop them. VP versus IG has to start after we get the players and bums in seats. Let's get this underway, our first series of the day here in the Wang Theatre.
Ever since their assembly in March, this blossoming Chinese team has shown incredible promise domestically, specializing in pushing lineups, but unafraid to experiment. In July has taken on captaincy of this destructive strike team. After a stellar run through the cutthroat China regionals, they have proven they are a formidable challenger, and with legend burning by their side, anything is possible. Online overlords in Europe and winners of the Summit 6, this roster has all the ingredients to become a new superpower. With Captain Solo at the helm and the explosive carry Ramses under his command, they strike hard, fast, and their record this season speaks for itself. This new dynamic roster is rebuilding the organization's reputation as the best CIS team in the world. Welcome on stage, Virtus.Pro.
We edge ever closer to getting our first series underway here in the Wang Theatre. $3 million every time. I do feel like I'm going to do the little kind of Miss Dr. Evil every single time. No, anyway. Back onto topic of discussion. Virtus.Pro is where we take this first. And I do like that it highlighted trying to put CIS back on the Dota map, Ted. I mean, this is a nation that has dominated for so long in the scene.
I think, once Na'Vi stopped being that powerhouse that they were, we were waiting for a kind of replacement mega CIS team. And I mean, this VP team looks really, really good. If
Yeah.
they can stay together and keep growing, then you never know. But yeah, it's about time.
It is about time. We can bring up their names. Ramses was one at the tip of your tongue, Fogged, but there is so much more. You were saying that they all are powerful in their respective roles.
Yeah, they all. It's like you can't even say they just do their job. They overdo it. Like every single one of them overperforms in every single one of the regions. But I think one thing that is really interesting is how much they kind of have to prove, because we have seen a lot of these CIS teams. I don't want to say completely crumble, but crumble in a manner at these main events and on the stage. Maybe they start feeling the pressure more. Maybe we see a different VP come out. Personally, don't think so, but it could be a possibility.
Which is the player that turns your head the most, Shiva? I know Ramses has been discussed as well, but a lot of people hyping about Lil.
Yeah, I was going to say it has to be Lil. I mean, I personally am a support player, and then you see someone that just picks, he's a support role, and then he has Weaver. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I can do that too. No, he's amazing with Weaver, and obviously that's one of his most outstanding ones, but he picked up Slardar as support as well, and he's just able to create so much momentum with just from that support role with the least amount of farm. He's amazing as support role.
Yeah, agreed.
A stalwart presence.
We call him not the support; he's the core support.
Yeah.
Yes.
The new role.
I do love that we're talking about Lil, because we have a perfect opportunity. Lil actually sat down with Slacks, and let's not forget, Slacks tried to give him some weird name for his Weaver. Lever, I think he came up with.
No, it was Lethal. It was awful. We tried to stop it. We tried to stop it.
Elite Beetle. Lethal.
Lethal. Okay, it's not
Something
pretty.
like
No. But fortunately, Lil and Slacks did have a little conversation ahead of this game. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what he had to say.
Hey guys, here with Lil from Team VP, the scariest team in Dota right now. Hello and welcome. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. And you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. No one else has. What a generous man you are. Thank you. Very kind. So, first thing I just want to talk to you guys about, you are kind of representing CIS, and CIS region is good for the first time in a while, and they've been waiting. They're hungry fans. How does it feel to be representing that region with VP in a pod?
That feels good, man, but just we are good, not all scene.
Yeah.
Just we.
Just you?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the fans are, they're accepting you? I mean, I know a lot of times they've kind of been it has to be Na'Vi is the only good team.
Oh, no. I can say that there are a lot of VP fans and there is a lot of pressure for us. So every people, actually, these fans are cruel and like aggressive. And when every time when I join internet, I see a lot of commentaries about guys, you will lose, you will like eliminate from first round, you shouldn't been there. So that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot more pressure than a lot of other regions. I mean, they're constantly...
Yeah, actually I just read it, and there are a lot of good commentaries, good people. They're always cheering up for us, and it's a very pleasure to read.
Oh.
And not like this stuff.
Don't tell Reddit that it's a pleasure to read, okay? They'll be all over you. They'll love you too much. So, I mean, but your fan base is growing every day.
Yeah.
People are starting to really realize what a powerhouse you guys are. So, anyway, I want to talk to you about just kind of how you are doing this. I mean, in my opinion, you guys are kind of like the ragtag team. You've all been kicked, traded, forgotten about. You get on the VP, and now you're destroying everybody. What makes this work so well?
Actually, just I am the one who was kicked from the team.
Well, I mean, from that team, but I mean, everybody from your team's been kicked from other teams.
No. Solo and no one, they were not kicked. They left the team.
Oh, okay.
Ramses has left too, and Pasha has left too.
Okay.
I'm just the one who was kicked.
Oh, okay. So why were you kicked?
Why was I kicked? Because it was like 6 months ago. Our carry Silent has got ill, so we had to find new carry, but it's very hard to find a person like him on such a level. And FNG and G just decided to like take +3 instead of me and Phobos. So there was like 3 people from Team Empire, our Hadens, Yoku, and No Fear. So they just decided to take +3 and kick us.
Okay.
The problem was like 3 days before roster walk.
Right.
So I had no chance to like join Na'Vi or any team. so we decided to make our own team.
But it was motivating, right?
Yeah, we learned a lot about that. We don't want to teach people how to play. We learned about a lot of things about macro gaming, about again teaching people how to about communication, a lot of stuff.
So is that why you guys do so well now? It's just because you've seen all this stuff and you've worked on those things?
I think the thing is we're team. We have team in a team, so we have good chemistry, good synergy. We are friends. People like being with each other, talking with each other, playing. I think this is the most important thing, being team in a team.
So I want to talk to you about captains, right? You had Solo, FNG. Tell me about the difference between them.
Okay, Solo is more experienced in all of aspects of this. He's like 7 years older. That's why he has more experience in communication with people, with in game or anything. And the main thing, Solo is the type of man who can say, guys, we are doing what I say now, and everyone will listen to him. So FNG wasn't a type of that. He was like...
No, he was more passive.
He was very passive in this...
Yeah, no, makes sense to me. So that kind of authoritative style is really good in teams.
That's it's very important for captain. A man who take everyone and we go to one destination. So FNG was weak in this.
Exactly. Okay. Well, maybe that is the secret. So this is a very difficult question. That's what I'm going to see if you'll answer. Everybody's scared of you in this tournament. Can you give some advice to enemy teams?
I have the only one advice, just call GG minute 1, so don't waste our time.
Oh, damn. All right. Well, there you go. That was Lil from Team VP. We'll be seeing him more at the Boston Major. Just GG out in minute 1, because you won't have a chance.
Lovely stuff from Virtus.Pro, Lil telling his teams to GG out minute 1. That's what I like to hear. And as well as that, we also learned that captains are important. And it's very relevant when you look at the hamstrung IG. At this point in time, not only have they lost their captain, they've got 2 stand-ins, and they're going up against a team that we are describing as one of the top contenders for the tournament. I mean, the odds are stacked against them, Ted, at this point in time, right? Like, this is getting scary.
It's pretty much as bad as it gets.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's 2016. Who knows? Crazy things are happening. There's no way to really predict anything. I don't know what the weather's going to be like one day to the next, let alone who's going to win this game, although it is going to be VP. But I'm going to say that it's a possibility that it's out. IG will do something.
Yeah,
it's
I mean, there's been 2 days. You know, people can improve a lot, and I think that they definitely have the time to prepare something. They have Burning at their side, one of the most experienced player in the entire Dota scene. So surely that should amount to something.
Also, here's a shred of. I wouldn't even say shred. They don't need a shred. They'll do okay. They took a game off OG and they took a game off EHOM. So it's not like they got 2-0'd in both games. You know, they beat OG. That's good. So they just need to get 2 games instead of 1.
They need to snowball.
They do.
They need to snowball the laning phase extremely hard in order to actually be able to take it versus VP, in my opinion. Just because VP is so consistent and they just understand how to play into the late game. Well, I think this team, especially when you're playing with stand-ins, it makes it a lot harder. Those late game decisions become absolutely crucial.
Because it's like if you mess up in that late game series, that's it, right?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, I thought you meant don't buy back. Well, you know,
yeah, like one of those. I mean, it's true. Like little things can actually add up in a massive difference like that.
And one of the reasons they actually won against eHome early on, it was the game that they won was like 22 minutes long. They had Sakata on Axe, and he was absolutely phenomenal. We actually had OG banned Axe almost every game that they play against him.
Yep.
As well, so yeah, he has had a good tournament. I mean, yeah, there's been ups and downs, and obviously they are not doing as well as they would hope that they would have done.
Yeah.
But you know, there's hope.
Well, the man behind the Axe, Sakata, actually did sit down with Slacks, and we're going to jump in and see. Hey, that rhymes. Slacks with Axe. Oof, let's check it out.
Hello, I am here with Sakata from IG Vitality, right?
Yes.
Yes, Vitality is required. Well, it's interesting because you guys certainly do have a lot of vitality despite the hardships that you've had. You're missing some of the, some would say, essential members of your team coming to this event. 2 of your supports, who also one of them happens to be your main drafter and captain, if I'm not mistaken.
我觉得他们2个来不了，我们这次是算比较难吧，因为我们有一些体系是必须需要他们2个的，所以导致我们没有办法发挥我们原来的实力，就是基本上看着打吧。
Sure, but despite that big disadvantage, you're not doing all that bad. I mean, you guys are surviving, you're still fighting, and it's pretty impressive. What can you tell us about the 2 guys that replaced him on the squad for this event?
我觉得Q 可能是比较相当于就是苏鹏这个位置上的吧，然后 B 神的话就是偏保人一点，所以我们风格上会有一些变化，但是感觉还不错吧。不是完全不可以的。
Absolutely. So enough about the team. I want to know about you. We don't know too much about you in the Western scene, so tell us a little bit about yourself. What makes you you?
我就是一个偏进攻型的中单吧，然后打法上比较凶悍一点，然后有时候也比较容易上头。
Well, that's the Dota you, but I want to know about the real you inside. What do you like the most? What's your favorite food? Your favorite animals?
原本没有什么特别喜欢的动物，不过来到 IG 之后，特别喜欢猫吧。然后因为我们领队养了一只猫，还有430的猫，然后我的偶像也是430，然后所以我比较希望成为那样的中单吧。然后没有什么特别喜欢吃的东西，都感觉差不多。
I see. What about Boston? First time here. What do you think of it so far?
感觉还是挺不错的吧。对我来说没有什么特别大的影响，除了特别干燥之外。
Let's talk about this match coming up. You guys are going against VP. They are big name in this major. How are you guys going to defeat them? How are you preparing?
我觉得我们只需要打好自己的东西就可以了。我觉得我们在风格上完全不怕 VP 吧，就算他们是一个非常强劲的对手，我觉得我们也可以跟他们一战吧。
You said that Ferrari was your idol. You want to live up to him. Do you feel like you're getting closer now? Do you feel like you can surpass him soon?
现在感觉比较接近吧，以后可能会超越吧，我也不知道。希望自己可以超越吧。
Other games besides Dota. Pokemon Sun and Moon, have you been hitting that up?
我基本上每一代口袋妖怪都会玩，然后就是在来的过程，就是在来的那个飞机上我会玩，然后睡觉前睡不着也会玩一下吧，感觉还不错。
Hell yeah! What is your favorite Pokemon?
最喜欢哪一只？我最喜欢梦幻。
Mew? A Mew kid? That says a lot about you, you know? Mysterious, not even on the board, and you're very powerful. I like that choice. What are your thoughts on Jigglypuff?
我觉得它这个设定比较呆，这有点像大家海妖。
That is my favorite Pokemon, but no problem, no problem. All right, anyway, let's get back on track. Now this is a big deal. This is probably your biggest event yet. So you're gonna have some fans now, people that look to you as their idol. What would you like to say to people following in your footsteps, hoping to be you one day?
谢谢大家的支持吧。就是我希望我们队在大比赛中会表现得越来越好吧，也希望下一次我们可以5个人一起来。
Yeah, well, we sure do as well. But, I mean, they still have vitality. As we said before, with this makeshift team, will they be able to keep that power going in the Boston Major and defeat the Goliaths? I sure hope so. We'll see some more from IG coming up very soon.
An incredible interview from Slacks there. We've learned so much. We now know Sakata's favorite Pokemon. He doesn't really care about food. He likes cats. That is the kind of interviews I'm all about. And of course, he is there also appreciating all of the support realizing that it does seem the vibe there is we know the odds are stacked against us. We're not saying it's impossible. They're almost reiterating what we've said here on the desk. IG certainly have got a lot of work to do. And this is one of the biggest tournaments that they've played in, Fog. Surely, sitting there with a stacked crowd, lights, walking into, hearing their roster, having the smoke in your face and our voices echoing through the hall, that's got to have some sort of effect on them.
Yeah, they're definitely just going to get in the zone, though.
Yeah?
I mean, especially you could see in that interview, too. He was very honest about everything that he said. Like, straight up, he was like, yeah, I'm very aggressive, but I tilt. Like, everything that he was saying is just very straightforward. He's very honest about himself.
We're missing guys. We're not going to be at our best.
Yeah, it's true.
That was a very endearing interview. I hope they do well, but it is going to be very tough for them.
Well, it does involve their individuals stepping up. And we talk about how strong VP's individuals are. If we have a look at a head-to-head, it will help demonstrate how much they've got to work for this one. It is going to be Paparazzi and Ramses going head-to-head in the carry position. And, I mean, we've been singing the praises of Ramses. Shiva, if you try and dig deeper with Paparazzi, what can you find?
Well, Paparazzi, he's an amazing player. He is actually really strong in most of the carries, mostly, obviously, the one that are high right now. So, for example, Juggernaut is a hero that is banned out against IG Vitality in almost any game they play, at least against teams in their own region. They know, like, let's not get that guy Juggernaut because he'll go ham with it. I think the main difference between these two Ramses, make sure he sometimes gets his carry in the first two picked, while for IG Vitality, they'll just later on see what they can still get him.
Okay.
But they had some good games as well. So
these are the two youngins as well. Like he's 17,
He
Paparazzi's 20. It's like
you had a fact though about Paparazzi, didn't you?
I did. Thank you for bringing that up.
I got you, man.
According to Liquipedia, he was the first player to get 8K MMR on the Chinese server. So
there you go.
That's something. Yeah. Whether it's true, I don't know. Liquipedia.
No, I like that you're prefacing that. Like, please don't abuse me.
Don't blame me.
Please don't abuse me.
Yeah. We should ask him, actually. We should get Slacks to ask him.
We should. That'll be next on the interviews. It is time for predictions. However, I believe that this segment may be rather brief. It's been reiterated that IG have got their work cut out. But we has to be doing it. And for formality's sake, Ted will be starting with you and working our way towards myself. I believe you're going for Virtus here?
I'm going to go with Virtus.Pro, yeah. Even though the IG interview was very endearing and they seem like nice lads. And I wish them well, VP.
Faith in VP across the board, Chief?
Yeah, for me as well. I think IG Vitality, they were able to take a game off, and OG and EOM, so maybe they have a chance at least taking game off of Virtus.Pro, but I still think they're going to win as in Virtus.Pro.
Well, for the audience's sake, I'm sure I'd love to see one game go their way, just to hear that roar. Fogged?
Yeah, I have to go with VP, right. But they do have a chance just if they crush the laning phase, if they do their like early push, if they just hit a timing at like 20, 30 minutes, something like that, that's their chance to win these games.
And I guess I get to do one as well, so I'm going to say VP for this one. Yeah, just I think it's safe at this point in time.
It is safe.
Looking at that line of logos, I think it would be wise to do so. But I mean, it does seem like the general consensus is VP have to make mistakes, and IG have to play some of the best Dota they've ever played for this to be a competitive series. With that said, I want to hear what you guys at home have been saying. Fortunately, we can do so. Looks like Twitch are giving VP the edge by a considerable margin. Yeah. No surprises there. And over. Whoa!
Oh, Maron, that's pretty bad.
Savage. 3% for IG, so not too much faith in them. But hey, no pressure. That is something I genuinely...
Look at that.
Come on.
Everybody is for IG Vitality.
How did we do an audience prediction?
No, but that was 100% VP, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 100% VP.
Was it?
Yeah, I would assume
red.
so.
Red is that sign.
Oh, well, then they just made a mistake.
Okay.
The entire audience made a mistake.
Yeah, or the entire audience has just got IG shirts on it. It's been a con this whole time. They're going to be seeing IG logos. And actually, you know what? There is definitely a couple of IG fans in there. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. They're going to be cheering loudly. There's no doubt
The biggest cheer was for the Pokemon, by the way, when he mentioned Jigglypuff. Whoa, Jigglypuff.
Yeah, I like that he went for Mew. It does say quite a lot about him. Mysterious player.
Woo!
The crowd appeared out of nowhere, by the way.
No, they didn't. They came in the door, dude.
They did?
Yeah.
I went out there. I was like, oh, I haven't opened the doors yet. Then we started, and it was just packed. Dota fans everywhere.
We don't have the technology to just bring in the crowd.
Yet.
Not yet.
Teleportation, though.
Yet.
We've talked about that.
Yeah.
Back on track, away from teleportation for a moment. We're going to be teleportating into the draft in just a moment. That is up next. And so I want to make sure we have ample time to kind of set the scene for this one. You've talked about some of the strengths that IG have in their draft, but I mean, in terms of Virtus.Pro, Fogged, if you were sitting there knowing for 2 days you're going up against VP, what on earth is your play in the draft?
I mean,
it's scary, right?
I wouldn't say cheese. No, I don't know. There's a couple things. Like definitely ban the Shadow Demon. That's probably what their strongest thing. I don't even know if you can like focus on Ramsey so much. I think maybe you focus more on like the supports, just solo, take out the Shadow Demon, take out the Ogre, and just play from there.
Okay.
Obviously, take out these very strong laning heroes. Like I said, they need to really do well in the lane.
Yep.
So do something like that. Maybe go for some like, more specific, I guess. Go for like these dual lanes, like two in the safe lane, 2 in the mid lane. Force the supports to kind of show in the lanes rather than be able to make their own free moves. Just those kind of approaches will definitely help IG.
Interesting. So basically, you are suggesting that you go against VP, try and do as much damage to their draft as possible, as opposed to just playing your own game. Because that was something we discussed, right? We talked about that as well.
It's a little bit of both, because if you know that your own game is focusing on the laning stage, as Fog says, then you wanna remove the strong laners that Virtus.Pro has a tendency of picking. So we'll see what they end up going for, though. I mean, so far they ban out the Drow Ranger, which is, if you are gonna go for a hard push, you don't want to get hard pushed back. You just want to hope that Virtus.Pro is gonna take a little bit more time with their draft as they ban out the Bounty Hunter and the Rubik. Rubik actually has been, there's been a lot of Rubik plays for IG Vitality this weekend, and not only Burning plays it, but Q as well, so they had 3 Rubik games.
Yep.
Strong ban.
I was going to say, I really liked seeing when they played the Rubik and the Bounty. I mean, these VP obviously did their homework. They knew it was going up against them from IG. Burning had a great performance on the Rubik, and Q's Bounty Hunter is probably one of their strong things. Same thing, going for that kind of lane dominance. The Rubik, maybe not so much lane dominance, but it's an aggressive hero that can kind of, make things happen with very little.
They are quite intimidating, and it does look like that Shadow Demon you were talking about immediately pops up fogged.
Yep.
What makes it so scary in the hands of VP?
I mean, Solo just knows the ins and outs of the hero. He plays it incredibly well. He completely ignores Shadow Poison, even gets stats instead of it sometimes, just gets the Disruption, Soul Catcher. It's super powerful. It scales very hard into the laning game, and maybe just it lets him. It has like those, that kind of thing with like the Disruption is either aggressive or defensive. It gives you multiple different ways to play it.
Yeah, IG Vitality then picking up the Luna, so kind of denying it, but at the same time, it's still going to be strong if Virtus.Pro can copy that. So it's a tough one to go up against. It does make sure that IG has a bit more pressure behind their lineup, but we already knew that they wanted to have that kind of pressure anyway. At least we already expected it. Oh, and this is the Slaughter.
There's the Slaughter.
Okay. Nine Pasha plays it, but Lil as well. Very open, very versatile, very strong.
And seeing Luna picked by IG, interestingly enough, Luna and Shadow Demon were picked 17 times in the group stage, and Luna itself had 70% win rate in the group stage with that particular hero. So do keep your eyes on that. And Batrider as well, another common presence in the draft.
Yeah.
Just gives you both these give you a heavy laning presence and just a great mid game. So that's like pretty much what they're going for here. So they're they recognize what they really need to be doing in this game versus VP.
I mean, admittedly, aren't they usually paired together, Luna and Shadow Demon? Now they've been on either sides of the battlefield.
Yeah.
Get to see that one.
Get to see that one indeed. And so far, both of the openings don't really give too much away about what the teams are going for, or at least not really anything like out of the ordinary. It's kind of straight to the point, very straightforward here. So I'm curious to see what we're gonna see from the offlaners most of all. As for in July, he has already got the Batrider secured. But how does Batrider pair up against a Shadow Demon lane? Do you want to go for the Shadow Demon +1 and go that up against the Batrider, or are you going to rotate and have the Slardar against the Batrider if he's for 9 Pasha?
Shadow Demon can zone pretty decently with one other hero. Obviously, you have if the Batrider plays over aggressive, you just get disrupted, and you don't know if another hero is just going to rotate and kill you. So that's always the kind of hard thing about playing the Batrider versus Shadow Demon. And of course, into later stages, if someone gets lassoed, you're always able to disrupt.
Yeah.
And I mean, what's so interesting, and I think needs to be reiterated here, is that Batrider has, he's been hit by the nerf bat on multiple occasions, right? Like, he's undergone so many changes, and he's still present in the draft. He's just so intimidating.
That's what Blitz was saying. We were talking about this with the DC coach,
Oh yeah,
William Blitzley, and he said that you need to change the hero fundamentally to really remove him, because everything that he does is so good.
Right.
So you'd need to change him a lot for him to not be like a god tier pick.
He's just frustrating as well. Like, you get sticky on you, you just can't turn around. That could tilt you.
Yep. Yeah, that could tilt you.
Well, we already know that they can be prone to tilting on the IG side, so it's probably a good job that they've got Batrider. Of course, that was according to Sakata, or him personally can tilt.
He seemed pretty confident.
Yeah, he's chill, man.
So they ban out the Weaver, they ban out the Sniper. I mean, both of them obviously make a lot of sense versus VP's lineup, or versus VP, just because they even pick Sniper in very random scenarios where it's not really versus an OD or anything.
I know that guy.
So that's cool. You know that guy? Cool.
Yeah, it was Suns fan. That was a picture of Suns fan. I know that
guy. They still ban out the Juggernaut, even though Paparazzi will probably play the Luna, but Sakata has played a couple of games with Jugger as well, so want to avoid that in the mid lane. Does it give anything away about what they're going for mid? Because basically they're banning out 2 heroes that they don't want to go up against mid. I'm thinking a Dragon Knight, no one's Dragon Knight is very strong. It's
They used it a lot in the qualifying.
Yeah?
They were happy with it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the Weaver ban makes sense from IG because God knows you don't want to give that to VP, but.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like, point out that the DK, like VP isn't usually like that afraid anyway. Like, no one actually just like kind of plays versus any, but giving him the best game is definitely like the opportune thing. So like looking at VP's lineup, the things that stand out to me at least is like they're probably gonna go for like their Darkseer, their Dragon Knight, get the mech timing, have probably the support Slardar. Still not obviously like put out there, but that's what their comfort is for the most part that they like to do.
It's early. It's early for pro players, you know, it's early morning. Take it nice and easy, get a nice straightforward lineup. You don't want to do anything too crazy. This is early in the day. They need a good few hours to warm up.
Well, while they are thinking about it, I do want to kind of regurgitate some information regarding VP. And they came in with this kind of hyper-aggressive tag attached to them. You've seen them play in the group stage. Admittedly, it was quite brief, considering how quickly they glided through it. But did we still see them? Do they still deserve this hyper-aggressive tag, or have they got more diversity to their game now? I mean, surely they don't just have one playstyle, Fogged.
No, I mean they've recognized like a lot of what they've like what their old mistakes used to be. They always pick like this lineup that's very good in the laning phase, maybe not like super strong lane phase, but strong, like pretty strong in the laning phase. Very good mid game, very good late game. Always making sure that they have like different types of damage instances, making sure they can take objectives very easily, high damage burst as well. Like Shadow Demon Slardar opens up a lot for yourself. Obviously with Amplify and Soul Catcher, any hero can get bursted down.
Right. I'm actually very intrigued that Lifestealer has been picked here. Out of the 12 games he was picked in the group stage, he won 4 of them. One of the least successful picks we saw in the group stage.
But were those 4 wins when they were on Virtus.Pro?
Probably a good question to ask.
Ramsey's Lifestealer is something to definitely fear, and when it's paired up with the Slardar as well, it's a whole nother monster. So
I really love the Treant Protector. That is the savior of lanes. I think we talked about it a little bit on a panel during the group stages where Treant Protector was picked, and it kind of removes the aspect of single outplay, or at least doesn't really remove it, but it makes it a lot more difficult for a player to get a single kill on someone that, you know, by purely outplaying them. It requires more of the rotation coming out from the teams, and it helps them just keep the lanes more stable, which we have been talking about is very important for IG Vitality this game. And
Complexity put it to good use.
That was it.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I think it's, you know, they picked it, but, you know, VP picks the Darkseer. Obviously, Ion Shell very good at removing the tree refractions and able to, like, it's a hero that forces your team to group up with the Darkseer. So you want to group up and you want to take a tower in one push. So it's kind of it's a very good hero in most stages versus the Treant Protector.
Do you think VP are maybe lacking some push right here?
I think the DK was the one that stood out for me like super heavily. I would be very surprised if they didn't pick it. It fits their lineup perfectly. It gives them more lockdown, which they kind of lack right now. It's just the Slardar pretty much there. And I mean, that's just VP, right? It fits everything that they really need.
Yep. A lot of melee though, if they go down that road. I guess you've got
a lot of melee.
The range form with the dragon is fine, but that is a 4 melee heroes.
Wow, that was quick.
Yeah, VP. Yeah, that's like. I mean, this is cookie cutter VP for the most part. I thought maybe they might get the Lifestealer 4th and the Darkseer 3rd, but they just kind of left it a little bit more open-ended. They probably thought that Pasha, you know, leaving the Slardar to kind of have an option of either being support or off lane, letting it be more ambiguous was a better choice by them. But
Timbersaw is in the pool, isn't he?
Yes.
I'm wondering if they could take that and maybe run him mid or push him to the off lane and put the bat mid maybe.
They could definitely
It'll be pretty good Timber in this game, I think.
The last pick.
We'll see what runs against the Dragon Knight that is really, really good against the Dragon Knight. I mean, Dragon Knight is not going to really lose his lane regardless, but what could do well, Funked?
That was Mamamoo, wasn't it?
That was Mamamoo.
That was Mamamoo and Papa Moo. Yeah. I mean, Timber looks pretty decent. I don't remember actually if Cicada plays it that much though, right? I know Paparazzi's played it a few times.
A lot of Queen of Pain, Templar Assassin, Shadow Fiend, Invoker OD.
Please not Queen of Pain.
It's a good job Winter's not on the desk.
They do go for the
It is the Timber.
It's very good versus all the melee versus the heavy strength lineup. So interesting.
Interesting. Is that going to be the kind of closing thoughts then? IG going up against a very scary Virtus.Pro, but the draft hasn't completely changed your mind. No. just clarifying. All right, well, we'll leave it there for us here at the desk because our casters are ready. We're going to let them talk it through. On the menu tonight for your casting dish, it's none other than Toby and Malini. I call them Tobini.
Well, I know we're a bunch of dishes, but Tobini, I don't know if I really want to have that one.
You can quit anyone. Well, we've got a happy crowd behind us.
That we do. It's a wonderful early morning to start a great day of Dota. Virtus.Pro
going up against IG Vitality. I know a lot of people are looking at VP to be the #1 team, even to win the entire major at this point, but I don't know if IG Vitality have enough to knock them off. This is a best of 3, though.
Well, this is a draft that they should surely be expected to face up against. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, I was actually wondering like how the draft would unfold. Shiva was calling it perfectly that we'll look to see like the DK coming in from VP for that mid lane play. I was waiting for the live stealer as well. This is VP in a nutshell. Nothing changes. Nothing is different. And IG.V, Fogged was asking for really strong lanes, and it appears through their draft they've actually got that. Treant Protector always going to be there to lend that lending hand or living armor.
And the Witch Doctor and Timbersaw. It's very, very good versus this 3 strength, 4 melee lineup that they're running.
You were wondering, though, if there was going to be enough magical damage. I know we're talking about this during the drafting phase. Does IG.V have enough of that? Does the Timbersaw actually help provide enough of that burst that VP should be at least more focused on killing the Timber?
Definitely. I saw some strange bans, though. I think they banned out Ember.
Yeah, Ember was the final ban.
Mm-hmm. I was like, I don't think I've seen that hero in a long time.
No, it would have been a very odd lane as well. But maybe they're just wondering, like, what would be a bit of a problem matchup. That is the upside about the lineup for IG.V. The fact that Batrider, there's no, like, Sleight of Fist steering change, which would have, like, messed around with him at all. So he can actually initiate properly on almost every single core. The SD, not as great a counter as he used to be up against the Batrider just because of the range.
And looking at Ramsey's items, I wonder what's going on through his mind. He only started off with 2 Tangos, and perhaps wondering if he needs to Iron Talon at the start, maybe get some boots.
Well, he's going to head down to bottom lane, and IG actually do what they're doing, which is the Iron Talon abandoning Batrider. He's gone straight into the Dire jungle. Like, can you rush up something else? If you're only going to have the Tangos, can you go for maybe even that early hand of Midas and get a big injection into the mid game?
I think he'd rather probably get an armlet very, very early on. And Lil, they don't have an Ogre. That was first ban, but he's kind of playing like one.
This is the way all the CIS teams love playing their Slaughter. Normally it's actually done in combination with the Iron Shell of Pasha, but you kind of need to get him up to level 3 to have that level 2 before it becomes really effective. So both of the off lanes very absent from heroes for VP and IG.V. They're both just sticking to the neutral camps for the moment.
And it looks like Treant Protector is going to head down to the bottom lane. Was wondering what Q was going to do on that. Sometimes we see the level 1 Nature's Guys so that he can go for a chicken snipe, but looks like he just wants to soak out some experience.
Well, as long as he doesn't get caught out. With the rotation of Solo as well as Lil, they can find Q hovering around that bottom rune area. Not the easiest kill in the world. Just because he's just innately tanky. And with Leech Seed, it's a very difficult kill as well. This will be a very passive early start to the game until everyone starts to build into their primary items. The only lane which you could potentially see some big pop kills is this combo we've seen multiple times during the group stage, and that's the Timber versus the Dragon Knight. But you wait until that level 6 on the Timber once you bring in the Chakram.
Yeah, the Timber doesn't have a Quelling Blade, so he's actually losing out a little bit in the CS department. Just a little bit behind, but very difficult versus the Breathe Fire. And in the bottom lane, this wave is pushed up all the way to the tower because IG Vitality have a very nice sentry ward that blocks a big camp. And VP expended a ward already, unable to deward, and Q will get some free XP. Much needed.
It's actually really nice for Q to get so much of this. It may have been a little bit nicer for the Batrider to pick that up, but in July, okay, now he's going to TP down to the bottom. Ramses opens up, now with Rage of cooldown just a little bit of a second. In July can harass Ramses down, but Solo is there, so with the defensive disruption, he'll keep In July back. But IG.V keep their tower alive, and VP understand that chipping away at a T1 tower when you're going up against a Treant Protector doesn't make a lot of sense, but this does if they can actually attack into the Luna. But Burning, there to stand by. IG.V, really strong lanes. We called it before, it's just there's Treant as well as Witch Doctor. They make sure IG.V will survive.
And they're able to keep tabs on the Slaughter. Slaughter he's not the most tanky hero if he's around sprinting, so they can't tower dive too much. Need to wait for more items on the Lifestealer. And he's not getting absolute free farm on the bottom lane.
Lil's hoping for something, but he's not going to get it at the moment. This actually has to be one of the most passive starts the VP have been forced into in this entire tournament so far. They've always been looking for kills, always been looking for that hunt. that level of aggression, but their lineup is just a little bit slower than that. So it's a lot more patience we're seeing out from Virtus.Pro.
And In.July is able to free farm wherever he wants. 4.5 on the Batrider, just constantly stacking.
And everything else just becomes a contest. That top little pool camp.
Yeah, I don't really see any signs of VP trying to turn up the pressure anytime soon.
Well, they can wait, right? Like, until Lifestealer's level 6, he doesn't even have a combo hero. You've got the sprint that comes out from the Slaughter. Potentially with Surge from Darkseer, that initiation range is going to get better for Virtus.Pro. But who do you initiate on? You still want to initiate into a Leech Seed? The troublesome Q, who got a lot of levels from the bottom lane, so having overgrowth's also a problem. And Q is actually doing a nice little job. The crush will come from Lil, but with the Leech Seed already out burning, no reason to throw the Paralyzing Cask out just yet, but with Pasha moving over, this might be a better reason. In.July rotates in too. They go for another crush. Q is low, but the damage onto Lil is so high, the Living Armor won't protect him. Lil will get the bash in the first blood, loses his life to burning. But a kill is a kill. VP gets something on the board. IG.V something straight back.
Yeah, he ain't all in for that in. Whew, that was a close one. But if they wait too long, then Batrider's just going to get his Blink Dagger, smoke up, get a couple of easy kills. They don't have the best supports to deal with the Batrider. Shadow Demon's like all right, I would say. Just not the best range on that disruption to save people. But as you mentioned before, who do they really gank? Top has Witchstalker defending, and then all the lanes have Treant Protector defending.
It seems to make more sense to go on that little Insurgent mission of Lil. Like maybe you catch the Batrider when he's low doing that stack, because that's exactly what In.July was doing. He was doing the big stacks he had inside the jungle, but had to be pulled off to come over. So he only loses out in 2 skeleton minions. That's all he lost because of his movement. And he still gets the experience levels from killing off the Slaughter or being involved in that.
In the bottom lane, Q spots out Lil, trying to wrap around from behind. With the Blightstone, this tower should fall shortly if not for the help of the Living Armor.
Maybe they actually bring in more support too to hold this tier 1 tower until they bring detection. They actually cannot kill off Q. You'll always have that Nature's Guide to dive back into. So he's got to pull Ramses off the tower. Ramses, whenever he plays his Lifestealer, loves just to rage, have a TP scroll if he needs to get back out again, but he'll rage to protect and just beat the tower down. But Q will hold this. He just needs a little bit of help.
Yeah, just need to buy a little bit more time for the Batrider. And Luna, top of the CS charts right now. Pretty decent lead over everyone else. And in the mid lane, Timbersaw is slightly behind the Dragon Knight.
It's going to be our first little smoke of the game, burning it In.July. So In.July, he did spend all of his money, didn't go directly in for a Blink Dagger. Instead, he's got those Tranquils, Raindrops, plus the Wind Lace for the movement speed. So trying to close the distance, and they're pinging out. I don't know if they actually want to head to the top, or if mid is their goal. No one will be the nicer gank to have, because this will get Sakatara a little bit in front, as Chakram slows him down. Now the Paralyzing Cast, just a quick stun, allowing for the lasso, with the early points of a Maledict as well. Dragon Knight being dragged back in through the fire. Need a little bit more damage now. No one will definitely pop. IG.V with successful smoke rotation kills off the VP mid.
That was a great angle for them to gank from. They came from the left side, and then Timbersaw covered his retreat path to the right so that he could get slowed down to the point. And this is the smart play, a big play from the Batrider to actually not straight farm for the blink. They'd expect maybe a timing around 9.5 minutes, I would say, at this pace for like a blink smoke. And so he thought he had a couple more minutes to farm, and that's a very difficult game to predict.
And so IG.V ahead in the board. They're actually fairly ahead in CS too. One big thing is the fact that Paparazzi's got so much space on the top. He's managed to already crack that 60 CS mark, sitting just about 400 net worth in front of the Lifestealer mid lane. The gank is on. SD is all there. Even the Darkseer committing that wall, so they want to attack into the tier 1 tower.
And you can see the effectiveness of Solo's kind of patented build, his Max Soulcatcher build with no Shadow Poison. That's kind of been the go-to for most Shadow Demons now, but the Timbersaw just dropped. There's no chance of a TP reaction. Even with Living Armor, he's not going to survive.
We're going back into stall, however. There's no Sentry Ward, there's no detection again on Virtus.Pro. This allows Q to freely walk up wherever he wants to. So Burning drags the creep wave back. Now they TP the Timber back into the mid lane. So all this chip damage you normally get from a DK which will be capitalized on in a couple of minutes' time, it doesn't happen. Q's already got 3 points up in living armor. In July might be in a little bit of trouble with the open wounds on him, but Ramses, that rage won't last long enough. And with the Firefly down, he cannot pursue In July into the trees.
And VP just don't know where to attack right now. Mid tower is still very healthy. Bottom tower was at a 3rd HP, but now it's healed back up by the living armor, and they're just buying so much time. VP, this is the time where they attack all the lanes, get a couple of kills, and start to get their blink daggers and just keep the train rolling. But there is just nowhere for them to go, except for farm, and they don't want to farm.
You got to give props to IG.V. They've read VP's timing perfectly. They understand how to counter against it. Farm up a huge core. It's going to be a very big Luna going into the mid game. Burning's still getting levels for himself too. The fact this tree and it was able to get so many early levels, that living armor, maybe the sort of chip push the VP was running was going to be more successful because they're chipping away at the tier 1 with the life stealer, the DK into the mid. Like all this is working nicely, but 3 points up in living armor is just so damn efficient.
They just have to limit the Slaughter's timing. They don't really have a good place for the life stealer to infest. Like they can't really get quick picks like they want until he gets his blink dagger, but he's sitting at 300 gold right now, and with no towers coming anytime soon, and with In July getting free farm, it might be a tough task for him to actually get that blink.
Maybe once he's got his armor, it's going to be a little bit better as everyone's going to moonwalk for just a moment. We'll pause up and get a little bit more stable. So we can always just laugh it off. But yeah, Q, maybe once that armor is there for Ramses, he can force the issue a lot harder. Force rotations out from IG.V, because right now it feels like IG.V are committing only just the bare minimum to hold the lane, to drag the lane back.
I think overall, though, this is going much better for IG Vitality and VP. Maybe not expecting such a staunch early game from IG.
That's a support player right there, everybody. That's Burning.
With this set.
It's a very, very nice set. Crafted in gold. Hi, everybody.
We're admiring the models.
Yeah, that's what it's like. We've got mood lighting down here in the theater. It's a beautiful theater as well. The atmosphere is nice to actually bring a Valve Major back into a theater environment after Ben and Royal Hall.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful.
It's cozy.
It is. It really is. It's a lot more intimate.
Yeah, I can almost touch crowd.
Almost. they're just there. They're just there. But man, like this game is a lot closer. Like when I woke up this morning, I'm like, okay, VP versus IG.V. I'm not expecting it to be as close after IG.V's performance during the group stage, but they really seem to have, in the last 2 days, because each team had a 2-day break coming into this, maybe even a little bit more if you played in the Group A. They've taken their time, they've looked at VP, and VP did exactly what we were expecting for them in the draft, and IG.V, at least they've got their drafted position to help them win here.
But that's the thing about VP's draft. All 5 of their heroes you could have probably easily predicted, especially with the bans coming out and the first phase Luna from IG Vitality. And there's a couple differing theories on the draft. One is like pick, if you win, just keep picking the same thing until someone breaks you, or just change it up every game so they never know what's coming. So that's kind of like Wing's philosophy versus VP's philosophy, and VP have yet to really be tested, especially in the group stage where they just steamrolled everyone. But I would say this Tree and Protector pick is causing a lot of difficulties for VP, and it's just slowing them down a lot. Even faring over a Dust or a Sentry Wards can stall precious seconds, and all these towers still alive is a big problem.
And wasn't it Lil who said during an interview over at the summit, the fact like if they have to change up, like if someone does force them into a different position, like they would only have to reveal maybe 10% of their strats in order to get back on top. So we're back into the game now, so everything is smooth for the players, and we continue this battle where we left off. VP were trying to bring down the tier 1 tower and bottom lane. IG.V are in a good position to trade, so they're now pushing the tier 1 tower with the regeneration of Burning, that little babysitting of In July, and the damage that comes in from a Luna. It's a straight tier 1 for tier 1 tower trade-off. So eventually it was going to happen, but IG.V managed to stall out long enough, they get themselves a good trade-off.
And bringing up the items, I see that IG Vitality have heavily committed to raindrops. They have 4 raindrops on their side right now and only 1 on the side of VP, so they just do not want to... Look, there hasn't been any fights really, so it's like, do you expect to be able to farm, or do you want to actually fight a lot? And judging by this and this smoke,
Yeah.
They are ready to get some kills.
That smoke happened right underneath the Radiant Observer Ward, so Virtus.Pro are very aware what IG.V are doing. It was a ward that was placed down a long time ago by Solo.
Yep.
So all they wait for is the mid gank. So even if the smoke's going to fail, you want no one to reveal himself, you want someone to show themselves, because you just move around and run this with this Luna, just a straight pressure, tier 1 to tier 1, and you catch out VP before they're willing to defend. The Dragon Knight form was already triggered, you do not have this. So instead it's going to have to be Lil combining up, and yeah, here comes VP. Coming in force, Solo can't get disruption off, he was moving to the front lines to try it. As it all VP get is the amplification over on the Batrider.
They're also struggling for one of their ultimates. Shadow Demon is the only hero in this game that does not have his level 6, which could be a problem.
Not certain if IG.V, with one person up the hill, they would have seen that smoke. So IG.V now disappear into the trees, quite literally with the tree and protector. And
However,
it's VP who are now going to attack, so they're going to attack into IG.V.
There is very little way they can push into this. And nope, Blink Daggers on either side, so daytime means very little chance of actually getting a kill, but now that nighttime has descended upon us, might be time for them to make some more aggressive maneuvers. Now the DK has to be very, very scared when farming his jungle. They don't really have great vision on that bottom side of the map, which would be a great attack angle for Vitality to come from. Shadow Demon kind of sitting behind.
Have we really turned this into 5-man Dota? Paparazzi was able to find a double damage rune in the bot river, so farming up the quick. There was just a one ancient stack for him.
I think this definitely favors Vitality. They have a much better team fight. VP, which of their heroes are good at team fight? Just the Darkseer, really. I'm looking at the other four, and they have a fair amount of damage, but a lot of it single target.
And until you get the Blink Daggers, is it really that effective?
Yeah, they need maybe a big vacuum crush, but that's pretty hard to pull off in this. And the Lifestealer is always going to be hindered by the Treant Protector. And of course, they have to worry about the magic damage output from the Luna and the Timbersaw before any BKBs come out.
So instead, VP just turned this into just a little bit more of a split game again. So the tier 1 tower on the top lane is being harassed down with the Dragon Knight triggering his form. Wants this kill because this will allow no one to finish up his armlet. But IG.V, again we go into it. A 1-for-1 trade, tit for tat. It'll be the tier 1 tower that IG.V want in the mid.
They're doing a 3-man smoke though. And they're leaving the DK up on top, so IG Vitality may be a little bit wary.
He has the TP scroll available, so this can still be a fight. The tier 1 tower's already taken, and IG.V now heading to the south.
They're pinging them out, but IG Vitality are sticking together as a ball, and most of them are just stacked behind the Luna just in case one of them gets caught out. They have a ward to drop their tracks behind. Will it pop the smoke? Yes, it will.
So Lil gets revealed. And he's only just close enough to do that too.
And IG Vitality head straight back to mid. They don't want to lose a tower.
Well, they're becoming a lot more confident to fight now. Luna's just completed a Commander style, flying out with a level 2 ultimate from her. You can still get in close thanks to Nature's Guise. The detection being that close to your own tower, not really possible. They know there's a sentry ward because their other one got de-warded.
Yep. It's much better for them to defend so they can heal up the tower and then make a favorable trade later. This T1 tower, especially important for them because Luna wants to farm Ancients over and over again as much as you can.
There's so little in this game. We got a smoke maneuver from IG.V, but the network's really close. Like, not even 100 gold in it at the moment.
They saw Pasha TP bottom. That will be their target, but he is surged and he is gone.
Well, even if they don't kill Pasha, the Luna's going to force the lane out. With 4 points up in Glaive, she pushes really, really quickly. And July is searching in around the tower, so they realize that no one's there to defend. They even scanned just beforehand. No one to pick off, so this is just going to be a tier 1 tower. And Virtus.Pro, for the first time, they're not in position to get a counter tower
Lil's
straight
getting
away.
a lot of space, though. Lil's just farming the top lane. He was sitting at 300, 400 gold maybe just a few minutes ago, but now closing in on his Blink Dagger halfway there. IG Vitality, do they want to defend this mid tower? I don't think that they're set up in position to do so, especially with that Observer Ward behind the T1 tower and Lil wrapping
Do they
around.
see him? They see him. The sentry ward's there. Q's going to be revealed. A quick crush and a quick kill. Very deep into the Observer and Sentry, just to the southeast of the mid-tier 1. So it's a kill and a tier 1 tower trade-off here from VP and IG.
Yeah, and 3 of their Observer Wards are set up in the mid lane. And they committed a lot just for a tree kill. lost a T1 tower in the process, but Lil still kind of just away from his team, doing his own thing.
Is that team fight timing you're talking about? Just build up to it, be patient. That's all VP need to do. If you take a really bad engagement here, which is also very possible, all you do is just you feed the Luna. And then you'll have no way to deal with her.
Especially before BKBs. And I think that's the sort of game where if you're the Slardar, you kind of want to aim for a BKB going in late, or else a Timbersaw will just destroy you every time you go inside the fight. So I also think it's important for the Slardar to stay alive so you can aim multiple people. They don't have a really good way to take it off aside from the Manta on the Luna right now. So I think Lil is a very important hero in this game.
As long as he doesn't die, Lil, okay. Protection Fake Crush onto the Bounty Rune.
And despite all this farming, Timbersaw is actually pretty far behind. He is number 4 in net worth and has not gotten his Bloodstone yet.
In July, tried to slip over the bottom lane. The pings already came out. I think he's asking for another invis. Solo started his TP. Lil's on the run out. So it's Virtus.Pro understanding the movements here of IG.V. They don't really have that many deep wards to find IG.V's movements. They see Burning stacking thanks to the Observer ward. That's right next to Sentry. That was what helped VP in the last fight. And the other one's sitting right in front of the Tier 2 tower. So they don't see much more outside of the mid lane. The jungles are very, very dark for them.
But Luna's just been taking stack after stack after stack.
She's about to hit the 10,000 net worth. Nice little mark for her. Already with the Dragon Lance, already with the Mana Style. The range is good. The Disengage and Confusion from Manta is also good.
I think it's about time for VP to fight, though. They have the Blink Dagger on Slardar. They have a DD in No One's Bottle. And Lifestealer has his Echo Saber. Most of his items are complete, aside from perhaps a Desolator.
It's also IG's time to fight. They're getting far enough away from that Observer ward. In fact, Burning is de-warding it at the moment. That they can do something with the Blink Dagger, which is freshly onto In July.
I would say it's a fairly predictable smoke, though, because Batrider's not showing, and then they just de-warded, and they're all grouped up around mid. So if they do it, I think VP will kind of expect it at this particular moment.
So what else do you try and attempt? Like, you just keep farming?
You can maybe make a Roach play, but VP already have Observer wards in the area, and they have eyes on Burning, so...
Maybe even time for a gem, then get it up on the Batrider. Risky when you still want to run a Tree and Protector.
So now they see In July. He thinks he's safe with the Nature's Guides, but Tree and Protector had died there not too long ago, and with the Observer ward Sentry combo, the Blink Dagger will be revealed.
He kind of has to know. Like with the way the fight happened previously, unless I think it just timed out, Treant's walking around with a Sentry, but he's just dropped it in the bottom part of the river, so VP smoke up. They're about to cross over with that Observer ward that is see a lot, but In July up on the cliffside, breaks it, the blind Blink Crush won't work. Tree Protector gets a huge oldie, 5 caught inside of it with the Eclipse damage, need to do more, but the Darkseer, the Vac Wall, it may be enough, or will it? It's a 1-for-1 trade up, the Death Ward is doing its work, but the Batrider, it's IG.V coming out on top. VP forced back. The Blink Crush needed to work. In July is not done just yet. He wants Pasha. They need to get closer. Sakata gets in behind Solo, and with the sticky napalm, he can't even turn fast enough. Paparazzi, a double kill for him. In July, kills off Pasha. It's a team wipe. The favorites Virtus.Pro just lost everything to IG.V.
That was phenomenal positioning from the Batrider. He hit in the trees, he popped the smoke on the back line, and overall their positioning was just great. It's up the hill on the Ancients, and VP, they wanted to fight under the Observer ward, but IG Vitality, they didn't make the obvious play. Like, a lot of their plays have just been not by the books. Batrider fighting way before his Blink Dagger, not even going for the Blink Dagger first, not smoking as soon as they get the Blink Dagger, and VP, they're expecting all of these things to happen, and they're getting punished when they're like, okay, I guess we should do something because things aren't playing out the way that they wanted it to.
It's spiraling out of control. The graphs just plummet down. It's like right now it's only a 3,500 swing for the net worth, but let's actually have a quick look at it again. So there's Lil's initiation, and Q at this point roots the entire VP lineup.
And the Eclipse comes out, and everyone is just clumped up around. They're trying to get all the illusions from the Wall of Replica, but Timbersaw is just so good at cleaning up in this sort of situation, and what great positioning by the Tree and Protector. Dodging the Blink Crush, getting a 5-man root, and staying alive.
And judging by that camera view is steaming up in the IG.V box, they are looking good. They just need to keep that momentum going. There's your graph plummet. VP need to stabilize, but IG.V are definitely the ones in the driver's seats.
They just, I think, need probably 1 Force Staff, maybe a 2, I guess, on top of the Bat Riders, just so they can save someone from the Blink Crush. If they can save someone from that, then they can kite the Lifestealer easily with Root, and then after that, most of their damage will be gone. Because Slardar is nowhere close to a BKB, and he is just going to perish. And after that, they don't really have too much control for the device. DK does not do that much damage. He's also forced to get a BKB because of this Timbersaw pick.
And with all of this, with no money for Monkey King bars, Paparazzi looks even better. Just walking around with casual evasion. But once this is a butterfly, they're still in trouble. And IG.V, they're knocking on the bottom door. They want to come into the VP base, so it took 21 minutes and a bit. But Burning's the first one to do damage to the tower, and now they're actually TPing out. They get VP to return home.
But look at the Observer wards that they've set up. VP have been hailed as one of the best in this patch because of their ability to set up great vision. But now that they've lost fights, they've lost map control, that are losing out in the farm battle, I don't really know if they can keep up their network of vision.
Well, they're trying to. This is the reason why Solo smokes, puts down 2 Observer wards in the bottom river area.
Yeah, it's probably time for the Bat Rider to get a gem. Maybe if they secure the Aegis first, it's still a little bit risky to fight around the pit. I think DK's pretty good in the pit, as well as the Darkseer especially.
Yeah, it seems like a risk that they just don't need to take, but it looks like in July they're going to hover around it.
They still want to fight.
You have the double damage rune on the Luna, and this may just be enough to encourage them to go in.
Yeah, but VP certainly knows up, and they certainly will not let this go for free.
No, they have to fight. Fresh item of the Desolator over on the Lifestealer. So you'll have that for this fight, but they send Illusions down from the SD to have a look towards the pit with the Observer Ward and the Sentries down. They're right on top of each other. IG.V, they're pulling out of the pit. So VP got the information that Roshan's down to 50%.
Yeah, there's not that many blind spots for IG Vitality, but that is one of them. The northwest of the Roshan pit. And they have to wait for them to walk into that Observer Ward. If they push mid T2, I wonder how IG Vitality are going to react. Might just be time for them to work on the Roshan, but without the DD, it's not going to drop that quickly.
Roshan, they're going to 5-man smoke.
He's at 50% HP, so now they're going to be scouting inside the pit with those Solar Illusions.
IG.V's coming to fight. They're coming to fight. So it's just Illusions. The body blocking of the Illusions, it just pinged. It just pinged. Solo knew what was happening, so then they just jump forward looking for the SD down to half-life. The back 3-man ball and run! VP! They hit the mark! July has to force-starve himself away on low life, but the Luna and the Timberstorm will drop. Timber won't be down for long, thanks to Bloodstone charges. But Solo's positioning, noticing the Illusions not having clear pathing, allow VP just to set up properly, but they're going to go in for Roshan. He's down low with the amplification. Sharkram causing some problems, but it's still Radiant. They get 1 the kill on Roshan, and 2 pick up the Aegis. As we have ourselves a small little pause. This is actually a huge time to pause, because that Flame Break's going to push a little onto the hill.
VP is just really smart about fighting, how they took that last engagement. If SD dies, not the worst thing in the world. It's not like he really has any items.
Oh, Lil gets down just in time, so the Flame Break doesn't push anybody around.
Yeah, and Luna just got blown up so quickly. And she might need a BKB herself to deal with the vacuum wall. Her illusion is going to hurt her team a lot if she gets vacuumed into it.
Which means more time that IG.V have to stall up. So the fight was good, and with Roshan, they repair all the damage of gold as well as experience. So the game starts to level up more.
Yeah, the blink from Pasha really making the big difference in that last team fight. They need Timbersaw to be... He was out in front. He got a decent amount of damage on a Shadow Demon, but then he backed off immediately after. They need him to provide vision for the team fights. He needs to be the big bad bruiser in front. Like, if you go on him, you're going to lose the fight. But if he retreats, then Luna's left vulnerable to these blink initiations from VP.
Which is why Luna, even if you do have a BKB, you may not get it off in time. Satanic may be the other way, just have the strength to survive, and then just, yep, that'll work. A VP, they're already prepping to fight once more. Looking down that mid lane. And they're bringing everybody. They don't have the best momentum in the side lanes. It's going the way of IG.V on the top, even with a catapult behind it.
They have to be careful though. The Luna is still very, very strong. She has Butterfly. She's like way ahead in net worth at the moment. So can't be too reckless with this siege. And Sakata's still, you know, very, very far back, just scared of immediately dying.
There goes the tier 2 tower.
Maybe once he gets his plate mail on the Timber, he can play more aggressively. But he's just very, very scared.
So that's the downside right about going for this Yule Scepter build. You can't just get that straight Shivas, but you can still PMS and you can pick up that plate mail now.
Yeah, he probably wants some way to get rid of the amplified damage, but as long as he doesn't die to the initial burst, he should be fine once he builds up some stacks. And Gem has been picked up by in July, and we'll take this time to get rid of some of the VP vision. They have 3 Observer Wards around the middle. Again, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get them all.
Kind of like a risky situation, right? You know the Slaughter could be there ready to blink on you. And they don't have vision of Lil at the moment. In fact, now with the Chakrams from Sakata, they will.
So that's 2 Observer Wards down. 2 more, a little bit away from the Roshan pit.
They didn't find the sentry. It's a little bit more covered up. Normally that wouldn't be as important, but the fact you're running a Treant Protector and they're trying to make the most out of that invis time.
Yeah.
Now he's going to see it with the Firefly.
I'm not sure if he saw the one that Lil is standing on top of right now.
They pinged it. And got just close enough for it. But it's, again, like, it's the wrong side of the river that IG.V just cannot move to unless they go in force.
And Luna, looks like signs of a BKB are coming out. Ogre Club in the stash.
Alright, so she'll go for the immunity. Fantastic thing during the fight. Already got ways to get rid of the amplification. Now, there's no extra stuns. Won't fear that Dark Seer initiation as much either.
Even more than that, there's like the disruption on her, which her illusions do a lot of damage. You don't really want to give SD free damage, although I guess he can replicate a Manta illusion.
Yeah.
So it's not that big of a deal, but the Breathe Fire also limits a lot of her damage because she has so much agility at the moment.
Timber's pushing in the mid, so VP. They will get to claim this tier 2 tower, IG.V. There's no reason to slow this down. Like, may fortify so they can push in through the top lane and try and get a tier 2 tower of their own, but IG.V are not committing to the push. They're moving back again, looking to farm, and looks like they just don't want to fight until Luna has that BKB.
Or while Lifestealer has the Aegis. Losing the gem right now would be very costly, would set them back a good amount of time.
And they only have to wait 50 seconds, and then that Aegis is gone.
Yeah, Lifestealer does not have that much in his defense. He's going very heavy on the damage. Just really the armlet from the, or the armor from the armlet to help him survive.
But like going Yasha as opposed to something else, like, well, Basher, or maybe even more defensive for his team with the AC.
He might be going Manta. It's a common pickup on Strength Heroes to deal with the, root from the Treant Protector. You don't want to have to use your Infest, and you can't wait for a Rage, or else you might just get lassoed without your Rage up and just die. So this way he can be more self-sufficient, and he can't rely on the Shadow Demon this game because Shadow Demon is still very poor, but he is going for the Scepter. Great way to deal with the Luna in the late game. She might have to get a Hurricane Pike to not get kited in the fights later on.
Well, Aegis has now been reclaimed. It's a long Roshan spawn timer, so 2.5 out of the 3 potential minutes that both these teams will have to wait. But the BKB over on Luna, IG.V is in a decent position to try and look for an engagement if they wish.
They need more on the supports of IG Vitality. The Treant Protector is just bare bones in his Arcane plus
they're
literally support items.
Literally the same items right now.
Yeah, Witch Doctor Scepter is also something that you probably want to aim for in the late game, similar to how the Shadow Demon is. That versus this many melee heroes, it would do a lot of damage.
And instead, they seem to be very much focusing on the Yule Scepter build. Yeah. Unless that's going to be...
He's going for a force.
It'll be a force stop, so it's just the movement speed with the lace.
He's great at kiting at DK. I guess a Lotus would actually be pretty useful. I don't know who would farm it. I guess the Timber saw him, but he definitely needs the armor from the Shivas first before he can think about a Lotus. And Shadow Demon lays some wards in mid.
Well, the Luna is the only one close enough to it at the moment. The rest of IG.V are being put into Nature's guise.
Yeah, they don't actually have too much protection on the Radiant side either. They could easily get caught out by a Batrider who's under Nature's guise. But I like the way they move. They're like constantly seeking to get better position. Like if IG Vitality come to them, they're IG Vitality are going to lose the team fight because they'll be able to either kite the Luna while she's BKB'd or pop her before her BKB is activated. And the only time that they've lost a big fight, really the only fight that, one of the only 2 fights that they've taken was on IG's terms up onto their secret shop. But now this is a little bit of a compromising position. They're on flat ground. They don't have vision behind the tower, so this could be a maneuver for Batrider to Firefly through the top side, which they're actually maybe kind of expecting with Lexia's positioning.
Here it comes in July, jumping around the back. The Firefly vision sees Parsh with a jump forward. He found the real DK. No one dragged in with the Eclipse. No one solo gets his BKB up for the back wall. Space is being created now for Virtus.Pro. The Eclipse still doing work, but will it be enough? The BKB Luna now wears off. Ramses, one more hit will do it. Burning looks for the body block. The force up. The crush from Lil won't do enough, but maybe with the elusive beam, Slaughter trapped inside the base. They're just chasing him in deeper. IG.V down to just a few heroes, but it's VP who was salt into that tier 3 tower. Lil has managed to go on for a long wander straight past the fountain, past the tier 4 towers, and out through the bottom of the base. He'll rejoin the rest of his teammates in a bit. The Virtus.Pro making the most of the time they've got. Bring down the tier 3 tower, now into the melee racks as well. IG.V, they just don't have the defense against it.
Wow, no one was so close to dying at the beginning of the fight, which would have been a completely different story. And again, they get a huge vacuum crush wall. Yeah, you have to admire VP's ability to team fight.
Also the patience. Like, we're seeing a very different game style. Falk was mentioning the fact that we've had a couple of CIS teams, Team Empire and VP, are normally the ones which go high up on the list of struggling at the Valve major events, but Virtus.Pro, they're showing their depth, not just in their draft, because this is obviously not depth in their draft with what they've got here, but in their play style. They're happy to go hyper aggressive. They can play the very stalled trade-off style of gameplay.
And they also have a lot of confidence plays. Like before that, it was pretty much zero net worth, which is very difficult to push into a T2 tower against a Batrider. And they were just confident that they'd be able to get their BKBs off and not die and to pull off their teamfight combo. So now Darkseer is probably priority number 1, at least stopping his Blink Dagger so he doesn't get a great initiation.
That's rather difficult to do unless in July, well, he could have actually not gone on no one. But at the same time, if that worked, you get no one with his BKB down, the Eclipse does solo effect damage onto a Dragon Knight, and they almost killed him with that alone. So maybe next time, like, yeah, this could actually work.
Yeah, it was really close to working. At the same time,
okay, maybe not anymore.
Shadow Demon, yeah, he has gone back for that.
Yeah, the Blink Dagger pickup over on the SD. Talked about the range at the very start of this game for SD, not the greatest instant counter to a Batrider.
They are smoked without the Timbersaw. Timbersaw does not have BOT. He's on the far top side of the map, so this could be potentially a good opportunity for IG Vitality.
VP is smoking up. They could look to go into Roshan, which they may think is alive, but it's another 40 seconds or ish until Roshan is up and running, and they'll find a traitor in their midst, aka the Dire Catapult, which accidentally solo attacked, breaking his smoke. So it's IG.V who are currently, I almost want to say smoked, but they're just Nature's guys hanging around that tier 2 tower.
And they're pinging on the T3, and Paparazzi does not have a TP scroll. Maybe he can exchange with one of the supports, but this could take some damage. There is an Infest Bomb waiting perhaps to be exploded on.
If they can't fight with their Luna, Luna's only just entering the base. VP didn't force the issue until now. No one will be the one man to the front lines. And once again, these TPs look for that Batrider initiation. No one's low, caught inside the chakra. As Luna molts up the rest of the wave. But all this chip damage doesn't mean that much if IG.V can hold, because you've still got the living armor. So it's not a kill push here from Virtus.Pro. They'll back up. Remember, they were still waiting for Roshan, and Roshan's alive, but because they didn't kill the catapult, IG.V also have this information. And now the trader will die.
Yep, they finally seen the Life Stealer pop out, but this is not good positioning from them. And one Observer Ward, D Ward, they still have another one, but it doesn't catch sight of any of IG Vitality.
IG's looking back into Roshan. Now, Injuly didn't go just far enough to the side to see the Observer Ward. Now with this flight, he will actually see the Obs Ward. So VP are going to have a very dark map Two wards that are unable to go through full duration. In fact, if you look at the map at the moment, all they've got is their illusions. So this turns into 5-man Dota just because of this.
And who's going to get the jump on whom?
At this point, no one. IG.V's backing out. Defend the base to start with and stay as close as you can to Roshan.
You can't leave that long, though. Slardar with the Amplify, with the Lifestealer, and no way to scout inside the pit.
With the Manta Illusions, and they have a Dire Observer Ward on the hillside.
Yeah.
Now, there's no flying vision in that area. So while no one does actually have a gem, yeah, another traitor. There's plenty more where that came from.
And I see no smokes in either team's inventory.
Now, VP can wait. Look at top lane. IG.V have to go back to defend this unless they want to lose tier 4 towers. The BTs really need to come on that Timbersaw. So he can be that defense. But instead, we've got an in July BKB flying out in the courier at the moment. So the Batrider's got a little bit more.
There's still the siege creep inside. They see all 4 of these heroes, and Lifestealer just popped his rage. It could be a good time for them to fight.
Q is close enough that his overgrowth will also be effective from outside that pit.
They also need Sakata over here. He was pushing out the lanes, as you had mentioned.
They need BTs. They need something. The bottom lane's pushing in too far. The top lane continues to pressure, and VP will back out every single time there's no one from IG.V defending the top lane.
They're very vigilant about constantly having something close to or inside the pit, in between the Manta Illusions and the HOD, knowing that any 10-second window could be VP's chance to take down that prized Roshan. But seeing how low it is, it could be very tempting for them to go inside themselves. And VP's also doing the same thing, constantly sending a barrage of illusions throughout the lanes and around the pit.
This time they're infested. VP still have not seen that Observer Ward up on the hillside. This is doing so much work for IG.V. They know where VP is moving. They can reposition forward. So they send a Timbersaw in to start with. Living Arm was already up, so he tanked up a lot of that damage. Forced up out. Now they're back at 3-man wall. Overgrowth needs to create a little bit of space as DK locked in position with that lasso, but now he breaks free and does his damage to Q. Paparazzi can't attack fast enough. He'll go down, and without the Luna, IG.V must be in full retreat, or will they? The Timbersaw isolated now. IG.V, they've still got extra support with the Blink Crush from Lil. It keeps the Witch Doctor out. Burning will get instantly evaporated. And in July, the last man left standing, but he will not stand for long as they surround him for the death parade. Team wipe in favor of Virtus.Pro. Now they can take Roshan and maybe more.
Now they are just so darn tanky that they're definitely able to pop their BKBs in time. And now with Solo at the backup with a Blink Dagger, there is very little chance of any of their strength heroes dying at the start. And Timbersaw, he's supposed to be the tankiest hero on the side of IG Vitality, but he almost got blown up in a matter of seconds. They had to blow so many cooldowns at the start. And Luna, she popped her Manta early, and she just got amped and focused down during her BKB. It doesn't even matter that Lifestealer does not have an MKB just yet. And also the Manta illusion from the Lifestealer also tanked up the flips.
Sakata thought he had it. Q jumps in, throws the ulti out. The DK's low, but he can just toggle through it. They lose another 2. Fighting before the Luna is back up and running. And this may be VP's ticket to actually gain Megas. And in fact, they just get the GG call. IG.V had nothing else to defend with. Virtus.Pro take game 1.
A very scary game for Virtus.Pro. Showcasing a little bit of the weakness, maybe a bit of predictability from the heroes that they run in the draft, and I think a lot of fortitude coming out from IG Vitality with the Treant Protector pick, the way they played the early game, and that one team fight that they took around the Secret Shop.
Yeah, that was the time when IG.V was able to get ahead, but then Virtus.Pro, they also caught a bit of a break. The illusion block, and then the SD in the right position. So Solo, he made it just work so perfectly. You lose your Luna, you lose your momentum, and Virtus.Pro, they dodge a bullet. And they were definitely staring down the barrel a lot closer than a lot of people would have thought. In fact, you saw the predictions come out beforehand. It was 100% going the way of Virtus.Pro on some of them. And you have to always understand every team has a chance in the game of Dota.
Their team fight prowess is unrivaled, I would say, by any team in this tournament. And this game showed exactly why.
Yep, but IG.V, you got to give them props as well. Real solid strat, very, very patient. Virtus.Pro showed the same kind of thing too. And, well, if IG.V can show that, if they can also get a really strong draft into game number 2, we could actually have a third game. We could have a series. Of course, the analysts, is that possible?
That is the question, Toby, isn't it? Yes, indeed. I'm really not so sure if our analysts agree with me, but I have to say, I think everyone loved seeing what IG could do in that first game, right? You guys were sitting there, I feel like there was a bit of surprise in your voice, Toby, when you were casting IG.
Well, yeah, I didn't think anybody could actually keep VP at bay, and IG.V did it really, really well. I saw the Witch Doctor and Tree Protector, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be a really passive laning phase, VP's going to walk over, but no, they made the real solid decisions all game for the mid game.
They tamed the beast, and I'll let you guys go take a quick breather. When we come back, you'll get that second game underway. Talking of beasts, got 3 of them joining me. Of course, got Fog, Shiva, and Pyrian Flax. Gentlemen and ladies, let's talk about this one. I have to start with the kind of traditional proceedings here, Fogged. You were impressed. Literally 10 minutes in, you were sitting there with eyebrows raised saying, what's happening here?
IG showed up. Honestly, they played really well. They played around their lineup in a great manner. They just kind of grouped up as this ball, and we're looking at VP to make the mistakes. Like we kind of said, this is how they should play to win this game. They had a great early start. Laning phase was pretty much, maybe even going in their favor slightly. Take that, VP feels maybe a little bit like under the pressure. They have like their items. They go for this play. 5-man root from the Tree Protector. In July in a perfect position on the Bat Rider. Burning on the Witch Doctor as well. Backline, full duration Death Ward. This one was like, we were like, oh my god, they might actually win this game just because of how far ahead the Luna gets. But like Ben Merlini pointed out, the fight prowess from VP is impeccable.
Their team fight prowess is unrivaled.
He's like those blink combos were just like perfect. They just get like a 3-man crush, instantly blow up the Luna. It doesn't even matter how far ahead he is if he just dies in that way. So, still, lots of props to IG.V just for the way that they played. They grouped up, they recognized what they need to do in this game.
Yeah, they had a bit of a clock on them this game. They needed to win, as we said earlier. They needed to dominate the lanes and then build off the back of that. And at that point, they killed everybody on Virtus.Pro. That would be their time to start taking the fights to the Virtus.Pro side of the map and maybe try and take some more towers and get some more control there. But the first rotation that comes after the one we just saw was indeed the Virtus.Pro rotation to get the Blink Crush vacuum into 3 and Luna blows up. And I think at that point, IG Vitality already lost their momentum.
Yeah.
And they really need to keep snowballing to end the game in a win for them.
VP's heroes were also just like, they're so tanky. As soon as they get like a couple items, like nobody can really die. Even if they isolate somebody, you saw like in that top fight specifically, like DK drops super low, but then as soon as he pops the BKB, the rest of them isolate the Luna, and DK is able to just move himself away because the Luna is all their physical damage within this fight, in this game, except for the Death Ward. So he just survives, moves away, fight's completely put in a weird position where they can't get to him because they have so many frontliners.
So I think it was interesting what you were saying about the how good open wounds is. Like if you're fighting 5 against 5, it always seemed to me like IG were obviously their game plan was stick together. We'll stick together. We won't get picked off. But when you're doing like 5-manning into Darkseer, he got some really big vacuum walls off, which kind of set things up. And then you have the DK and the Lifestealer to try and get through. It's like you said, it was.
That's also like that's a good point too. We mentioned downstairs, like the Darkseer, the wall. You have to always think about it versus Luna. That illusion just keeps getting beefier and beefier and beefier. So you're kind of fighting versus 6 heroes in a way if he gets a great vacuum wall combo.
So do you think it was a bit of a conflict of interest then? You've got IG wanting to stay together, and you've got Darkseer saying, please stay together.
Yeah, and it also sets up like some big 2-3-man crushes and things like that. So I mean, they didn't have a choice. I think they had to do it that way. But as the game wore on, it meant that how are we going to kill these guys? And like the Darkseer wall, if Luna gets bigger, great. That's a nicely farmed illusion for us. So it was tricky for them.
Tricky for sure. We'll bring up the scoreboard as well. This is going to be a good indicator of where the strengths did lie for IG. And there were some strengths. Praise definitely being held towards them. They managed to make that game a whole lot closer as we initially anticipated. Still, 16-7 when you actually look at the numbers, Shiva. It looks a little more damaging than we anticipated.
Yeah, I think mostly for me standing out on IG Vitality is in July. He made a very early rotation to get the kill on the Dragon Knight, basically keep Virtus.Pro at bay, and I think he kind of tried to set the tempo of the game, which for them had to be fairly high. It's tricky to do that just with the Bat Rider, with the follow-up not being really there because Sakata didn't have that much farm. In terms of backup damage, there wasn't that much. So the fact that they could get those kills is very impressive. It's just, unfortunately, it wasn't enough. It was Ramsey's Lifestealer.
Yeah.
I mean, what really can we add to that? It is, he is, like you said, talking about beast. Like, that guy is a beast on that hero,
that
for
guy's
sure.
Lifestealer is something out of this world, honestly. But another thing that stood out for me, at least, is just you can see like how much VP was kind of forced to do this 5-man thing because of how IG was playing. Like they did a great job of like forcing VP to do that because you look at this, the like assists, the kills, the deaths. Everybody's pretty much involved in every single kill on VP's side. They were forced into going to this like, 5-man ball instead of like sometimes we see like the Slardar Lifestealer just go for these infest pickoffs. That did not happen this game. IG did not give them the opportunity to do that, but inevitably they did lose just the big team fights.
And I do love as well, when I was highlighting in the draft that, Lifestealer is one of the more overrated picks, 4 out of 12 games wins. And you're like, how many of those were Ramses, those wins? And yes, okay, top of the scoreboard, big stuff from him. And actually we'll continue to talk about him a little more because he has been nominated for the MVP. We'll be talking about that in just a moment because first, it's none other than Purge to break things down further. This is going to be awesome. You've got your screen back, Kevin.
I have.
Okay, enjoy yourself.
Thank you. So, what I want to focus on is the draft a little bit. I really love the pick from IG Vitality, the Treant Protector. Normally what it benefits you is your lanes are stronger because your heroes don't die, but also it allows you to save and defend your towers. So the early game, we didn't see a whole lot of kills, but that's mostly just because of smart movement between VP as well as IG. Here's a Radiant scan. Dragon Knight looking to see if there's a swing around. So because IG grew up here as 5, and he's able to defend this just with a Fire Blast, it forces IG to actually waste some of their time. And sometimes they'll do things like go grab Ancients, for example, which is what they did here, VP pressuring up on the mid lane. And as soon as they see that IG is actually reacting to this with all of their heroes, they're instantly out of there. Because within about 5 seconds, if you take a look at the mini-map over here, just look how far away the Lifestealer already is. He's setting up to pressure at different parts of the map to ensure that his team still gets maximum advantage. So IG slowly walks in with 5 heroes. VP's way gone, they're off to farm. And you see that later as well. IG again grouping up mid to push, and VP's already in position, split pushing top with Dragon Knight, and still farming other places on the map. So eventually they do get this tower, but the important thing is that VP's always trading 1 tower for 1 tower. You have to do that against a Treant Protector, otherwise he's going to make sure that you never actually get a tower advantage. And finally, the more important one is IG eventually moving to the bot lane, but again, VP pressuring the mid lane. They're also split pushing top with a support. They're just getting really good usage out of their heroes. So despite the net worth being pretty comparable, I feel like VP did an important strategy in the first 2 minutes to make sure that they didn't have to deal with the Treant Protector too much.
Thank you very much, Purge. I like that we've got this back. This is one of my favorite parts, and we can get his mind visualized on that screen. We're going to be seeing a lot more of him as this day does progress. And of course, we're going to be seeing more of our panel, because it is almost time to start talking about our second game of the series. The final words from Toby and Malini when they did throw it back to us, guys, was if they can tighten up their draft and tighten up their mid game, we could see a full series. And I want to know, how realistic that goal is. VP have already demonstrated that they can overcome that initial lead IG had nurtured. And so, I mean, Ted, I'm looking at you. You are always someone that has a little bit of an edge for the underdog. But
yeah, I'm always wrong, though, dude.
Yes, okay, fine.
I mean, the thing is, I feel like they decided, okay, we'll go as 5. Luna gets all the farm. But because of that, VP were able to get farm on DK and Lifestealer. The Timbersaw didn't get what he needed quick enough. And I don't know, I just kind of feel like maybe if they can mix it up a bit, try and play a bit more like VP did. They were balling around kind of obviously as far as like dodging a boulder in the start of Indiana Jones. You can see it coming, like Kev pointed out. You just back up, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they need to maybe think about another approach, but they ran them pretty close for a while there, and then VP turned it on.
Yeah, turned it on. I think that's a good way to summarize it, right, Shiva? At one point, I think there was a lot of belief for IG in that green room.
Yeah, we were actually thinking like, oh, they're going to do it. You know, we've got ourselves a series on our hand, and it's a lot more even than I think anybody was expecting. But in the end, it was all just delaying of execution from Virtus.Pro. They just came out swinging regardless. And I think the scariest part for me for Virtus.Pro, the game that we just saw and the games that we saw during the group stages, is that they didn't really show something out of the ordinary. This is the Virtus.Pro that we saw coming in. This is the Virtus.Pro that we saw in the qualifiers. This is the Virtus.Pro we've seen over the last 2 months. And we know that they've got more up their sleeve, but they haven't really needed to pull out anything out of the ordinary. They can just play their own games, like cruising through.
They're giving Slardar Lifestealer, like, why not, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, thank you, and we'll take these heroes. This is our highest win percentage with these two, so why not?
Yeah, and that was something we talked about actually way back when at the start of the show, was talking about keeping an ace up your sleeve in the group stage because of the way it was working in terms of seeding and no elimination. Now it is single elimination, and so if there was something up their sleeve, perhaps that now is the time to reveal it. Of course, IG haven't had too much time to stuff their sleeves full of aces. But
if they do have something on their sleeve, this is
the game.
You don't wait for the next round. They have to go for it. But the problem is, like we said, they got stand-ins. Maybe one of the stand-in guys came in and said, guys, I've got this great idea. You have to trust me. If it comes down to the game where we're going to get eliminated, we'll just do this. But I kindly doubt it.
Something we have yet to recap, Shiva, is of course the run VP had at the summit, right? This was where a lot of the hype came from. You were present at that event.
Yeah.
I mean, they beheaded a lot of big names in Dota throughout that event.
They did. They just 2-0'd Wings off the bat, I believe. They 2-1'd OG, so OG was able to take a game off them. So that's the game to look to and see, analyze how did OG actually win against Virtus.Pro? Because that's the big question. How do you win against this powerhouse? Are you going to try to out-team fight them? Well, we already know that you can't do that. Are you going to try to snowball them, which I think is still one of the better strategies? You gotta step up your pace. If you're IG Vitality, sure, they tried last game, but maybe they weren't aggressive enough. Maybe they didn't have the heroes to be aggressive enough. But you gotta check which path you want to go for.
It's like IG, even like you could see they had better team fight. Like even Merlin said it. He's like they still have better team fight at some stage of the game. But then as soon as the Slaughter gets Blink Dagger, that's where the whole game changes. The whole momentum of everything just becomes completely different. Just because how good they are at landing those combos and just changing it. Like Timbersaw and Luna died instantly. That's like all your money, everything just were dead.
Just melted.
Just
dissipate.
Yeah. So
I want to start talking social media. These guys have been throwing questions at us throughout the group stage. I think we might have a question thrown in. We'll see what they've been concocting backstage. And it looks like it's coming in from MathMage. He says, how does the single elimination format affect drafting?
Full stop question mark.
Full stop
It's a good question.
That's for suspense, that full stop.
I think like we were talking about having a fancy strat that you pull out. Obviously, it does kind of mean if you lose the first game, now you've got to get serious. I mean, I think that was a very safe draft from VP. They kind of sleepwalked into it. It was super easy. IG just sort of let them pick those heroes. So I think you have to be, you can't make mistakes in the drafting. There's no, we'll learn from that. We'll come back and beat them via the low bracket. You've got to get it right.
Are you suggesting, I mean, that there's less risks taken than Ted? Are you suggesting that they don't want to take these gambles
just saying
because of single elim?
I mean, VP didn't need to. I feel like if they're up against a team they think they can beat, they just pick their steady Eddie strat and they just win with it. But I think IG need to come up with something, and they've got to come up with it now, not just from their own perspective, but they must have figured out VP now. Yeah. You've got to ban around that. I mean, you can't give them Slaughter again. You just can't. So they've got to learn quickly.
Yeah, and it forces you to learn even more quick than you would normally do in a double elimination. You don't have time, like you have time to adjust, but the time is like, what do we have, 15 to 20 minutes? Good luck. That is a lot to digest.
I mean, PPD was just, you could just see him in the crowd there when they're doing the crowd shot. I mean, EG liked that lower bracket and then they come back, they figure you out, they come back and beat you via that. But that you don't get to do that this time.
Yeah, it is getting down to the nitty gritty. You are sitting in that booth then, Fogged. I'm giving you a little bit of an interesting question. You're sitting in that booth with IG.
I wish.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yes. We'll have that discussion another time.
Please no.
You're sitting in that booth and you've just conceded that game. You felt like things were coming together and it has been squandered. Now you have to win this next game to stay in the tournament. You know you're going up against a team that has yet to drop a single game at this major. What on earth are those words exchanged? Surely you can't sit there and just focus on the draft. You sit there and give pat on the back. Where does this go?
Definitely point out the positives. Just like look at what they did well and just work on that. Just like small things, like small mistakes is kind of what lost it for them there. Like, of course, they had to win in an early manner. Like if the game progressed more and more, they were probably going to lose it as well, just because of the nature of VP's lineup scaling harder. But yeah, I think they should just stick to the positives. Like they had a good run. Like they had to just stick together. That 5-man ball was really working for them. Forced VP to make mistakes. I think that's also what happened. Like you mentioned the game at Summit when OG was playing versus VP. VP was like super over-eager, overzealous to take fight, and OG was just ready for it. And it was like a really, almost like a preemptive GG call by VP. They were just like, we're done. They like still had buybacks. They still had a chance to drag the game on, but they were just like, we made too many mistakes in this game. So I think try to make VP make the mistakes and stick as a unit is definitely IG's strong point.
Forcing errors from a CIS powerhouse that we have, Shiva relentlessly said, make little mistakes.
Yeah.
It is such a scary task to start off this major.
Something that that Lil said in his interview as well earlier today was that Solo is the one that say this is what we're doing, and if I say it, that's the final say. Nobody else has any say in that, and I think that is the main difference for Virtus.Pro this time around, where you see former Virtus.Pro and they dive, they go and they fight, but if there's someone that says stop chasing, stop fighting, we're going back, we're not taking this fight. And everybody listens instantly, like no hesitation. Everybody trusts Solo. Like trust is a big deal in that. That's just making all the difference in this squad.
And a lot of that trust comes from respect. I think, Folk, you'll be the first to agree that a captain has to have respect within his roster, otherwise that doesn't happen.
And he definitely does. Like Lil is probably, people can say he comes up arrogant and stuff like that, but you could hear in his interview how much he respected Solo. He's like, yeah, this guy has an incredible amount of experience. He's older than us. He's our elder. He's our dude.